Very beautiful chocolate brown. Now, what I would like to do next is add a couple more things. As it cooks, when you're making a gumbo, you want to put in definitely a bay leaf or two and some cayenne pepper, whether it's in whole form or powder form. So I'm just going to throw a couple peppers in there. Now, I like garlic in my gumbo. You don't have to use garlic, but hey, whatever you want to do is fine. If you like garlic, use garlic. If not, don't worry about it. Leave it out. Now, if this was cooking, we'll say this is already cooked, it's 10 minutes or so, and I'm just going to add a little bit of garlic. I didn't want to add the garlic too early because it would definitely burn. I'm going to switch to a spoon. And it has a really nice flavor, smell already. Now, when you're making the gumbo, also you have the option of tomatoes, and I chose to use tomatoes today because I like tomatoes. I'm just going to add my tomatoes. And I've also taken the liberty of making a stock, which is not absolutely imperative, but I bought some great shrimp from Maria's, and I took the shell, peeled the shell off, and I made a little shrimp stock from it. And I'm going to use the shrimp stock instead of water, since I've already got some great flavors going on. So I'm just sauteing this up a little bit. And I have my stock right here. This is not difficult. This is easy to do. And I'm going to go ahead and pour my stock in here. Keep on stirring. Now what will happen is it'll start to actually thicken up because my stock is warm. And you want to keep it rolling because you don't want any lumps to form. So you want to keep on stirring. I'm just going to turn it down to a little simmer and add the rest of the stock. And I want to leave room in this pot for some seafood because I'm going to put a lot of seafood in here. Now I have just a little more stock over here. Now I would bring this up to a boil and reduce it to a simmer and let it sit for about 15 minutes before, at least 15 minutes before I add my seafood to it. And at this point, I was talking about thickening agents earlier. Now there's two ways to make a gumbo. You can use okra or you can use filet powder, which actually is indigenous to the Gulf Coast, and it is found on, it's a sassafras leaf which has been dried and pulverized. And it has kind of a fresh thyme smell to it. But when you're making a gumbo, you don't want to use both because it'll just become too thick. So when you're making your gumbo or deciding what kind of gumbo you want to make, either pick one with filet powder, the sassafras, or pick one that has okra in it. I'm going to go ahead and add my okra. Now this dish is truly the melting pot dish. It has everything. Okra came to us from Africa through the slaves when they came to the Gulf Coast. And also the filet powder, if we were using the filet powder, came to us through the Choctaw Indians along the Gulf Coast who actually beat the Acadians to Louisiana. And this is also very indigenous, and like I say, it is truly part of the melting pot dish here. And the roux is French in orientation, so as you can see, all these elements come together. And that's how gumbo was created. Now there's all kinds of gumbos. There's duck and sausage. There's gumbo yaya, which is with chicken. It's really endless to what you can do with gumbo. Your favorite ingredients, rabbit, game, you name it, and you can make the gumbo, your favorite gumbo. Now, I'm going to remove this or slide this back, and it's hot. Now, after this is cooked, like I said, for maybe about 20 minutes, I have one that is already to the stage that has all its flavors married. And I'm going to go ahead and add the fresh seafood to it and let it simmer for about 5 or 10 minutes or so. Now what I have is a little bit of Gulf shrimp. And I left some heads on here because I think it lends itself to a great presentation. So I'm going to drop those in too. Actually, I'm going to drop it all in. And then also, I've got some crabs over here that I've actually cooked Maryland style. I've spent a lot of time in Maryland, and the easiest and quickest way to steam crabs up north is a little bit of Old Bay seasoning, and there's other seasonings that are real similar to that, Zatarain's and some other brands. And this is actually steamed in beer for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And then I take the crabs from here. We'll just take 2. And you want to come back and you want to take the outer shell off. Now when you do that, you want to remove what we call the lungs and anything else loose that might fall. Now I like to leave the legs on. I like the green material in there, the liver. I think it tastes great, so I leave all that on. And I'm going to go ahead and drop these in. Do one more. Now in Maryland, we just put these out on some newspaper, and you take a mallet and some crackers and lots of beer, and you just sit around and you pick crabs and you lick your fingers because the seasoning fires up your lips really good, and you just have a grand time while you're doing it. So I'm going to stick a few more in here. And when I come back, I'm going to show you how to plate my gumbo, and I'm also going to show you another way to use crab. See you when you come back. Now I'm going to go ahead and start putting my dishes together. When you're cooking the gumbo, if you've got some oysters and you like oysters, you could add it to your gumbo. But I do that right in the last minute of cooking. You only want to add them right at the last minute, so when you see it start to curl up on the edges, the oysters are actually finished. And of course, blue crab meat. You want to add quite a bit of crab meat, as much as you like. And then I will show you my presentation on this. Lots of crab meat. Now, one of the things that I do at the restaurant, which I started years ago, actually before Jackson's, is to use crab with meat. And it's very popular along the coastline. And one of the ways to do that is just to highlight the flavor of the meat with a little bit of whipping cream that has been reduced in a pan, which I have here. And you just want to reduce it until it's thick. It takes about 2 minutes. Now, turn my gumbo down a little bit. And once it actually starts to thicken up a little bit, you want to add the fresh meat to it. And here again, the meat is beautiful, just the way it is, steamed, ready to go. And just want to add the cream to it and make a little sauce out of it. And that's what we're doing. And I'm just going to add a little bit of pepper and salt. And this is so easy to do. You definitely want to try this at home. If you love crab meat, and you can do this on top of a fish dish, you can do this on top of chicken, whatever you prefer. And you see how nice and thick that's getting? That's all it is. And I'm just about finished on that. And it only took about a minute to do, if that long. So I have a nice juicy ribeye here. And I'm just going to plate this up. Little bit of vegetables. Turn my crab off. And I'll prop that up on there a little bit. A little bit of mashed potatoes. Now this is where the crab comes in. If you're a big crab lover, you just take the crab and you just pour it all over top of it, off to the side. And man, is that delicious. And I put a little bit of chives on top of that. And that's a great way to serve a ribeye. Now, as far as the gumbo goes, I'm going to show you how to put that together. Whenever you serve a gumbo, you definitely want to serve some rice. So I have some boiled rice or steamed rice. And we could do it individually, but I'm just going to go ahead and do it kind of family style. Rice is always an intricate part of gumbo. Now let's do this. I'll take my big ladle. It's actually called a transfer ladle. And I'm just going to start putting my gumbo in here. So many goodies in here. Let's see if I can get another big scoop in there. There we go. One more. And I'll show you how this comes together. That's good for now. Now what I would do is just take a pair of tongs or something and just pick the seafood up a little bit and let it come to the top. You got the beautiful shrimp with the heads on as a garnish. And take a couple crabs. And you could actually just use them as a garnish too. And pick through them when you're ready. And that is a gumbo, seafood gumbo, crab being the major part of it, and thickened with okra, with oysters, and shrimp as well. And I'm also going to put on some fresh chives. If you had parsley, you could use parsley. And there's another feast fit for a king or queen or both. Now, as far as wines go or beer, I would suggest a beer with gumbo. That's the way we do it down south. And also, another great way is with wine. If you wanted to serve a nice chilled wine, maybe perhaps a excuse me, a Washington State Chardonnay would be great. But a chilled white wine would be great with this because your lips are going to be on fire. You've got lots of flavors going on here, and this will be like your cooler when you drink it. Hey, thanks for joining us today on Flavors of the Coast. Join us next week as we take another culinary road trip on Flavors of the Coast. See you then. Bye-bye.
Support for Flavors of the Coast is provided by Jansen Quality Construction, family-owned since 1997. Jansen Craftsmanship. Jansen Quality. Jansen Value. Jansen Quality Construction, remodeling specialists serving the Gulf Coast. The Canandaigua Wine Company. Introducing fine wines from Covey Run and Columbia. Canandaigua, quality wines for the enjoyment of everyday life. Kesco, your restaurant equipment source in Northwest Florida for more than 20 years, providing cooking and refrigeration equipment as well as design, layout, delivery, and installation services. Lamar Advertising Company, a leader in outdoor advertising since 1902. And by For the Kitchen, your one-stop source for kitchen accessories and gifts, located in Milton's Historic District. Thanks for watching Flavors of the Coast. If you've enjoyed the recipes and destinations you've seen on the show, reserve your copy of our Flavors of the Coast cookbook for $24.99 plus $3.99 shipping and handling. In it, you'll find photographs and travel information on all of our Gulf Coast destinations, as well as Chef Irv Miller's recipes, created exclusively